We're going to dive deep into one of the most consequential nights in all of human history, and we're going to do it moment by moment. Using the Gospels as our roadmap, we're going to trace the exact sequence of events, from the Last Supper, through the betrayal, all the way to that final, agonizing prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane.
You know, when you think about it, from a final Passover meal with friends to a solitary prayer in a dark garden, the events of this single night have echoed through centuries. This was a turning point, not just for a small group of followers, but really for the entire world.
We've all seen the famous paintings, and we know the summaries, but the original texts lay out a really detailed and dramatic sequence. So our goal here is to map out that precise flow, what was said, what was done, and importantly, in what order, so we can get a clearer picture of how this fateful evening really unfolded.
Okay, so here's the timeline we're working with. The fuse is really lit on Wednesday when Judas makes that deal. By Thursday afternoon, the disciples are getting things ready for the Passover meal, probably thinking it's just another holiday. Then Thursday evening brings the Last Supper itself. From there, late that night, the story moves to the Garden of Gethsemane for a final prayer, which leads directly to the arrest right after midnight. It's a really tight sequence of events.
So how did this all kick off? Well, this wasn't some spontaneous event, not at all. It was actually the result of two completely separate plans coming together at the absolute perfect, tragic moment.
I want you to think of it like two storylines running in parallel, about to crash into each other. Over in the high priest's palace, you've got the religious leaders scheming. They want Jesus arrested, but they're stuck. They don't know how or when to do it without causing a riot. At that very same time, one of Jesus' own, Judas Iscariot, makes this fateful decision. He goes to those leaders, and just like that, their problem is solved. Their plot now has an insider. And that convergence right there is the catalyst for everything that's about to happen.
With the betrayal now secretly in motion, we move to an upper room somewhere in Jerusalem. The disciples, they just think they're there for the Passover meal, a really sacred Jewish tradition. But this meal, this one is going to be unlike any other they've ever experienced. The sequence of events in this room is just a wild, emotional roller coaster. I mean, the evening kicks off with this petty squabble, with the disciples actually arguing about which one of them is the greatest. Jesus completely flips the script on them with this shocking act of humility. He gets down and washes their feet. But then the mood just shatters when he announces that a betrayer is sitting right there at the table with them. And it's in the middle of all that tension that he establishes the foundational ritual of communion, just an incredible series of moments.
And you see this pivotal moment recorded in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Now, if you look closely, there are some slight differences in the wording, but the core message is exactly the same. The bread is his body, the wine is his blood, the blood of a new covenant. He's taking this ancient, familiar Passover ritual and giving it a radical, intensely personal new meaning, right there in front of them.
Okay, the meal is over, but believe me, the bombshells are not. As they're getting ready to leave, Jesus makes two very specific and, frankly, startling predictions about his closest followers. This isn't just about Judas anymore. The crisis is about to pull in everyone.
Now, this warning is aimed directly at Simon Peter, the group's most outspoken and confident leader. Can you just imagine the shock in the room? Jesus tells him, and this isn't some vague prophecy, it's a super specific prediction of failure, right down to the sound of a rooster crowing at dawn.
And this is the human drama right at the heart of it, isn't it? Peter genuinely believes he's ready to die for Jesus. To him, his loyalty feels absolute. He's all in. Yet Jesus sees a weakness that Peter just can't see in himself. This clash between our own best intentions and our inevitable failure is a massive theme for this entire night.
Before they even leave the room and head to the garden, Jesus delivers what's often called the farewell discourse. This is his last major teaching to the group, and it's prompted directly by the fear and the confusion that's just growing by the minute among his disciples.
You can just feel the anxiety in their questions. I mean, they just don't get what's happening. Thomas is like, we don't even know where you're going. How can we know the way? Philip wants some kind of grand divine proof. And another Judas Thaddeus, he's questioning the whole strategy. And Jesus' entire final message is basically structured around answering these very real, very human questions about what on earth is coming next.
And this teaching doesn't just stop at the door. It actually continues as they walk through the Jerusalem night, making their way to the Mount of Olives. And as they walk, the tone shifts. Jesus starts to warn them about the hardship that's coming, but he pairs that warning with a promise that a divine guide, the Holy Spirit, is coming to help them make sense of it all later. So that walk brings us to the final scene before the arrest, the Garden of Gethsemane. This is a place of intense emotional and spiritual struggle, a moment of just profound isolation right before the authorities show up.
And in this garden, one number says it all, 3. He brings his inner circle with him, Peter, James, and John, and asks them for one simple thing, stay awake and pray with me. But 3 separate times, he comes back from his own prayer to find them fast asleep. In his moment of greatest need, he is completely and utterly alone.
The word used in the text to describe this experience is agony. This wasn't just quiet, peaceful contemplation. Luke's gospel, wow, it adds these vivid, incredibly intense details, that his sweat became like great drops of blood falling to the ground, and that an angel had to appear just to strengthen him. This language is trying to convey a level of stress and turmoil that's almost beyond human comprehension.
And this is the final haunting image we're left with before it all breaks loose. The contrast is just so stark. Jesus is wide awake, wrestling with what's to come, in agony. His closest friends are just a stone's throw away, oblivious, asleep. And just beyond the trees, the flicker of torches is getting closer as Judas leads an armed guard right to this very spot. The quiet is about to be shattered.
So when you lay it all out like that, moving from a petty argument over greatness to a stunning act of humility, to a prediction of betrayal, and finally to this intense, solitary agony, how does knowing that detailed chronology change our perspective on everything that came next? That's the question this whole story really leaves us with.